Good morning, Uptown Kids. Welcome to church this morning. We are so glad that you decided to join us today. Now, I have to tell you guys something, a little bit about myself. I don't tell people this very often, but I'll tell you guys, okay? I'm a very forgetful person. Sometimes I forget where my glasses are. Sometimes I forget to brush my teeth in the morning. Oh no. Sometimes I forget what I had for dinner last night. What did you guys have for dinner last night? Oh, yum. That is so awesome. Well, today we're going to talk about a different supper, actually a very important supper. It was the last supper that Jesus had here on earth with his disciples. But before we do, why don't we head on over to Talia to praise and worship this morning today. Let's go.
Good morning, Uptown Kids. I'm so excited for another week with you of learning and playing and worshiping. We're going to jump right in this morning, and we are going to start with This Little Light of Mine, which is our theme song. You know it, your parents know it, y'all know it, so let's sing it together. Ready? All right. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All right, all around the neighborhood. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All right, Uptown Kids, do we hide it under a bushel? All right. Hide it under a bushel, no. I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no. I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All right, Uptown Kids, I'll see you at the end of the service for another song.
Good morning, kiddos. Welcome back to Reading Time with me. I missed you all last Sunday. I saw some of you at church and some of you I didn't see, and that's okay because you are loved. And I'm so excited to get to read stories with you today. Today we're reading about the bread and the wine, about the Lord's Supper, if you guys have ever heard that term. So let's sit back, relax, get comfortable, and let's get reading together.
The bread and the wine. Ben loved to play in his large house a game of hide and seek. He had a special secret place where he alone could peek. A tiny closet, dark and snug, where jars and bowls were stored, was where he'd sit, his eyes shone bright through a crack in the closet door. One day he heard his mother say that guests would soon arrive, so up the stairs he rapidly raced and hid where he could spy. Two men walked in, their arms heaped high with baskets, jars, and bowls. They set the table, then neatly placed bright pillows in 2 rows. A delicious smell filled the room of roasted lamb and bread. In walked Ben's mother with the food. "We're ready to dine," they said. On the stairs, Ben heard footsteps. A crowd of friends came in. Around the table each took his place. Ben counted 13 men. They started then to sing a song. The man in the center beamed, but one man wore a tight-lipped frown. Ben thought, he sure looks mean. The leader rose. He tucked his robe, poured water from a vase, set the bowl upon the floor. A smile played on his face. Then, like a servant, he dipped a towel and went down to his knees. "That's Jesus!" Ben stared in surprise. "I heard the people sing that day when he rode through the streets, 'Hosanna to the King.' If he is king, he should not wash their feet. That's servant's work." Jesus explained, As I have done, each other you must serve. Then Jesus sat and prayed, Dear God, please bless this Passover meal. They feasted on the lamb and bread, began to eat their fill. Ben thought of Passover, the very first. God's people, the Jews, each chose a lamb with wool so soft and white, the one they loved the most. They spread its blood upon their door so God would keep them safe and led them from the land of Egypt where they worked hard as slaves. Jesus was silent. Tears filled his eyes. Ben thought, he looks so sad. His friends whispered, What's wrong? Let's try to make him glad. They thought of the past, and Peter said, Remember that time at sea? I walked to meet you on the water, but sank up to my knees. Jesus smiled, a tender smile. You've learned a lot since then. They love Jesus so much, Ben thought. They really are good friends. Ben listened. Jesus softly spoke, My betrayer is here tonight. Wonderingly, the 12 men stared. Each asked, Lord, is it I? Beside Jesus sat one man. His eyes were wide with fear. Trembling, he whispered, Is it I? Ben strained hard to hear. A man named John leaned toward Jesus. Who is it, Lord? He said. Jesus slowly turned and gave the frightened man his bread. Judas, go, then Jesus spoke, and do what must be done. With scowling brow, Judas fled. Ben said, I'm glad he's gone. Jesus sighed a deep, long sigh. His face was very grave. He broke in half a loaf of bread and bowed his head to pray. Take and eat. This is my body, given for your sins. Jesus passed the bread around to each one of his friends. Ben thought, the other day I tied a rock to my cat's tail. She spun around, jumped on the table, then crashed, the clay pot fell. My mother says that it is sin when I do what is bad. All the men seem so unhappy, for sin makes Jesus sad. Then Jesus took a cup of wine. Ben thought, what will he do? Jesus said, This is God's new covenant, sealed with my blood, shed for you. Do this to remember me. Drink this cup of mine. Ben watched as each man raised the cup and tasted the sweet wine. All the men joined in to sing a song in closing prayer. Their voices rang in highest praise that burst the still night air. Quietly they left the room. Ben heard their footsteps echo on the stairs and throughout the streets, as after him they followed. Ben sat alone. The room was dark, but he was not afraid. He still could see the gentle eyes, the smile on Jesus' face. Scooting from his hiding place, he felt so stiff and sore. He quickly ran from the room and quietly shut the door. Just then he heard his mother call, Where are you, Benjamin? Running down the stairs, he knew Jesus would be his friend. The end.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Crafts. It's nice to see you again. This week our craft, the supplies that you'll need are piece of paper, can be any color, any size, a couple of markers or stickers or pencils, pencil crayons, anything you want to draw with.
And scissors.
Some scissors and
Glue.
some glue. The first thing you're going to do, you're going to take a piece of paper and you're going to just cut strips up the page. You can cut the whole piece of paper, do a couple pieces. You can do them kind of any thickness. We did them like this here, just kind of cut them all out. And then once you've cut them out, you can color on them or put stickers, do decorations, however you'd like to do it. And then once you have all of your pages, or your strips, sorry, you're gonna get your glue, cut the whole paper, more strips. Then you're gonna take your glue and you're gonna stick yours together to make a ring. So this is the first one. And then the next one, you're gonna put the glue on and you're gonna stick it inside of the hoop. And you're gonna make another one.
I'm
And you're
gonna
just gonna
make
keep
this
doing
one a
that.
crown.
You're just gonna keep on going, and you can make it as long or as short as you want. So you could do
I'm
10.
making this crown for you.
There we go. That's all you have to do. We hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Melissa. Now, Uptown Kids, Jesus had his Last Supper on earth with who? Who did he have it with? He had it with his disciples because he loved them very much, just like he loves us. We remember the people that we love and we think about, right? That's what Jesus did. Now, during the Last Supper that Jesus had with his disciples, he asked them to remember him. Actually, he asked them to remember him in a very special way. Jesus gave them a sort of picture to remember him by. But that picture wasn't taken with a camera or drawn on a piece of paper or painted on a canvas. The picture that Jesus gave was with bread and wine. Now, just as we talked about earlier this morning with Rebecca and the story, Jesus said that the bread was his body that was broken for us, and that the wine was his blood that was shed for us. The bread and the wine stand for what Jesus did on the cross for us. The picture of the Lord's Supper helps us to remember what Jesus did for us. When we celebrate the Lord's Supper, we are to remember Jesus and what he did for us on the cross. Isn't that right? Well, let's head on over to Talia for one last song today. Get up off of your couches, get ready to sing and to dance. Let's head on over. Let's go.
All right, Uptown Kids, welcome back. We're going to do a song that we did a couple weeks ago. My friend Samantha is going to sing for us, and I'm going to do some actions. It's called One Way. We did it once. There's a lot of actions, like I said before, so just try to follow along. If you can't get them, don't worry about it. We're going to do it again, so don't stress, but do as much as you can with me. All right. Lay my life down at your feet. You're the only one I need. I turn to you and you are always there. In troubled times it's you I seek. I put you first, that's all I need. I humble all I am, all to you. Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. You are always, always there, every how and everywhere. Your grace abounds so deeply within me. All right. You will never ever change. Yesterday, today the same. Forever till forever meets no end. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living all for you. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living all for you. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living all for you. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living all for you. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus. Awesome job, Uptown Kids. I'll see you next week for some more worship. Bye.
All right, Uptown Kids, welcome back. We are almost done for today, but before we head out, we do have a Bible verse today. Now, I was talking about at the beginning of our service how sometimes I forget things, and I don't know about you, but sometimes it's hard to memorize verses. So one thing that I've found that helps me is to say it over a bunch of times. Sometimes I say it in a goofy voice, sometimes I say it normal. So I want to try that with you guys today. So today's verse comes from Luke 22:19. It says, "Do this in remembrance of me." That is Jesus talking about the Lord's Supper. Okay, so let's say it super loud, okay? So I'm going to say it and then you can repeat after me, okay? So it's Luke 22:19. "Do this in remembrance of me." Okay, now what's something else we can say? We can say it really quietly. Okay, so Luke 22:19. "Do this in remembrance of me." Okay, what else can we say it in another different voice? This always helps me remember. Why don't we try underwater? Okay, you're gonna take your finger, you're gonna go like this, okay? Luke 22:19. "Do this in remembrance of me." Do you guys remember the verse? Luke 22:19. "Do this in remembrance of me." We are to remember God's love for us, what he did for us on the cross, that he sent his only son to die for us, you and me, and our families and everyone that we love. Okay, well, I hope you guys had a great time today. We will see you back here next week, okay? See you later, guys. Bye.